Hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to a special edition of Copeland's Corner. We decided to do a special podcast this Saturday morning. We try to digest what has happened in America over the course of the last 48 hours following the Charlie Kirk assassination. With me, part of the Copeland's Corner network family, Tom Sawyer, our executive producer, Yayne Abeba, who is one of our hosts and commentators. You see her commentaries all the time, all over the network, and a frequent contributor to this program. So I'm going to start, and we're just going to just kind of unpack what's gone on over the last 48 hours. Because it's so many mixed feelings, I have Tom and we were just talking before we went on the air, and I've been all over the place emotionally on this the last 48 hours. At first, of course, we're shocked. It happened while we were recording our regular edition of the shooting, or news of the shooting happened while we were recording our regular edition of this podcast on Wednesday, and we found out when we finished that he had died. And my first reaction was I was sickened by it. Political violence just really has no place in America. It has no place I was going to say in the discussion or the dialogue, but it's not the discussion or dialogue when you pick up a gun and you shoot somebody. I felt terrible when I read that his wife and small children were in attendance. And as repugnant as the man's rhetoric was, and as reprehensible as the things the man said were, nobody deserves to be gunned down in front of their small children. All right. That said, then the next thing we see is two things: a canonization, basically, of Charlie Kirk. Like he was the second coming of Christ. Yeah, and that's not just the right-wing media. I mean, you've got people who are in the mainstream media who are talking about him as a champion of free speech, as well as a campaign of vitriol by elected officials in this country. I mean, you're going to have nuts all over the place who are going to post and say whatever kind of crap they want to say. But the fact that we got elected officials, from the president of the United States to United States senators to United States Congress people to elected officials who are part of state and local governments, primarily in red states across this country, who are demonizing the left for this, who are saying that Nancy Mace. I want to say Nancy Mace. What is Mace's first name? I want to say Nancy Mace because it sounds like Nancy Grace. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Nancy.
Yeah, I saw that clip.
Her full name is Nancy Hot Mess Grace.
Her saying that this is at the feet of the Democrats. And then when somebody said, well, okay, is the Hortman assassination of the Democratic lawmaker and her husband in Minnesota, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, over the course of the summer, is that at the feet of the Republicans? Since this was a MAGA, the shooter was a MAGA extremist with a list of 70 Democratic lawmakers who he wanted to kill. Is that at their feet? And then we're not talking about this. See, this is what it is that you do. We're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. And so this is before they know anything. Before we know anything, then we find out who the shooter is, and that the shooter is, surprise, it's a white guy. It's not a trans person, as they claimed. It's not a radical Democrat or the extremist left. You got Kirk's wife saying that this is not going to kill the movement. They're going to try to stop. Well, he's one of yours. And not even one of yours. He's one who thought that Charlie was too left. Charlie was a traitor. Charlie was too left. And that's why it is that he did it. So there has been kind of this discussion about whether or not you can feel terribly, as I do, and if I think I can speak for Tom and for Yayne too, and for most people, feel terribly about the fact that this man was assassinated, and at the same time say that the things that he said and the things that he advocated were repugnant. absolutely reprehensible. And I've just been going through some of his comments, and and the people who stand up for him saying, well, you know what, if this had happened to one of Charlie's political opponents, he would be sickened by it and speaking out against it too. Really? Then why was he encouraging people to start a fund to raise bail for the man who bashed in the head of Paul Pelosi? He was encouraging people to do that. So, a guy who says that a few dead bodies, shouldn't be enough to have any kind of gun reform or do anything that's going to infringe on the Second Amendment. Now he's one of those dead bodies. And I can go on the things said about people of color. This is not free speech. Of course, it's free speech, but this is not an argument for free speech that he gets a pass. And it's disgusting to me that you had the flags at half-mast on government buildings and at the White House on the same day we had shooting in Colorado where kids got killed by another radicalized right-wing 16-year-old kid who was angry and had grievances and had listened to all this shit over the internet. So he goes and shoots a bunch of kids. So, I mean, as I said, I'm all over the place on this, and we're trying to unpack our feelings and hopefully maybe help you unpack some of yours. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. I'm going to start with that. I've got a lot more, but I want to let it, I don't want to be the only one to talk. So,
well, I just find it ironic. Literally, Charlie Kirk fought for the rights of the shooter to kill him. He fought for that right, and he also fought for the right of his family to feel the same pain that thousands of other families have felt in this country. And
tens of thousands, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I mean, first I posted it and I said hundreds, and somebody said hundreds, and then I realized, we've had
50 mass shootings this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what Charlie Kirk has fought for. He's fought for the right. He fought for the right of the shooter that killed him to get the gun that killed him, that we on the left have been fighting for decades to stop, to put controls on, to be reasonable. And I'm so sick of the lies about they want to take our guns away. Dude, I own a gun. I know many left people that own guns. I have a 357 Colt Python, that could put a hole in a wall the size of a fist, So I have a gun. So many people on the left have a gun. We're not against having a gun. We're just against having military weapons, people owning guns of mass destruction. And there's so many other things to this. This is so many other things to unpack. I mean, this kid, was a part of a group called Groypers. They follow Nick Fuentes, who was at war with Kirk, and.
Well, let me stop you for a second. So when you say this kid, so folks are sure who we're talking about. It's Tyler Robinson, who was the.
Yeah.
Are we going to call him the accused shooter, or are we going to call him the shooter? We haven't decided. So we call him the accused, the alleged shooter. Should we call him that?
Yeah. Okay. Alleged shooter.
Anyway, go on, Tom.
Yeah, and to me, it just shows what most of us on the left actually thought. I mean, I prayed it wasn't somebody on the left because, of course, the right wants to kill us. And it's pretty obvious at this point. The rhetoric that was out there when Charlie Kirk got assassinated was so vitriol. Is that the right word?
Vitriolic.
Yeah, vitriolic. It frightened. Me and my wife were talking about, like, we're frightened. Basically, they want war. It's not like it's so unnerving that when a group of people, a large group of people want to literally kill you on the street, they are looking for it. And that's what this brought out. And no apologies afterwards, no oopsies, no my bads. Mm-hmm. They're disappointed. I would probably say they're incredibly disappointed and pissed off that they can't go out and shoot us because we're not people to them. We're
No.
like zombies or a video game. We're
squatters. And unless you're part of MAGA, you're basically a squatter on American land.
Yeah,
is how it is that they look at us.
I love to hear Yanni's.
Yeah, so would I. Yayne.
Yeah, I mean, people calling him an advocate of a proponent of free speech, it's absolutely absurd. He was a proponent of hate speech and hate speech only. I am sorry that he was assassinated. I do not feel sorry for him or his family at all, because they made millions grifting off of the fears of insecure incel little white boys who feel like they have no place in this world. And they used people who look like me to do it. They made me the enemy. They made you the enemy. They made the left the enemy. And the media clung on to it and gave them attention that they did not deserve. He was funded by the Koch brothers. Turning Point was funded by the Koch brothers. So once again, it's billionaires feeding up a frenzy of people to divide us so that they can continue to have power. And he was happy to take that money and push it further and further. He demonized MLK.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, called him a scumbag.
It's ironic, isn't it? Because the fact that the MLK was all about nonviolence. The entire civil rights movement was about passive resistance and
this is the point too. It's like the whole left has been about nonviolence. It's been about gun control. It's about having it's not about eliminating free speech. It's about eliminating violent speech, or at least putting a bit of a lid on it. I mean, we're not, that's the thing.
I wouldn't say eliminating, Tom. We have a First Amendment. It should not be. It shouldn't be eliminated. It should be glorified. That's what the issue is.
Well, the thing about it is, though, in all honesty, Brian, before Twitter was owned by Elon Musk, there were rules of engagement
for
with
private
people.
companies. For the government can't infringe on our First Amendment rights. Private companies can say absolutely not. You cannot say that on my platform. You cannot say that if you're an employee. You can't say that on my plane. Like, they can do that. Private companies can't, but the government can't.
Right.
And so a lot
That's
of people
what free speech is.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. So they think they can go into Starbucks and scream a bunch of racial epithets and be like, what? Free speech. And it's like, no, it's a private company, and this is a privately owned building, and we can tell you it's not okay to do this.
Well, that's been going on for a long time, though. I mean, even in my club, I'll give you an example. Ari Spears was, good comic, but he'd go on stage, and all of a sudden he would go on this soapbox thing about gay people, the whole Adam and Eve thing, not Adam and Steve thing. And I talked to him about it, and he started with the free speech thing. And I said, dude, your free speech ends when you walk into my fucking club.
Exactly.
That ends. This is my club and my rules. You either tone it down and eliminate that part of it, or you're not working here anymore. Yeah,
and people don't understand that when you talk about free speech, it's just the government. So and that's what they're counting on. They're counting on people not understanding how government works and where the Constitution is applied. And so that's how they work people up into a frenzy. And they're like, it's mine and my rights, and you're trying to take this away from me, me, me. And I have a t-shirt that says equal rights for others doesn't mean less rights for you. It's not pie. But someone's convinced them, Charlie Kirks of the world, have convinced them that it's pie, and someone's trying to take all their pie, and people, and that I'm trying to take their pie. I'm not trying to take anybody's pie. I'm just trying to live my life, right? But for these people who are unhappy with, when I saw a bunch of white guys in Huntington Beach screaming, white guys fight back, after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the rage I felt at these privileged, entitled, in Huntington Beach, self-centered little brats having the nerve to act like they are victims when they don't even have all the information.
And for those who don't
I
know,
was
Huntington
like,
Beach is a
believe it.
wealthy city in Southern California. That
Yeah.
is what, if you are not familiar with Huntington Beach. So no, you're. Well, I'll tell you the one that was the most thing that I found the most sickening about this, and I'm going to preface this again because I do not want, even though people are going to twist this however they want to, we are not in any way, shape, or form condoning what happened. We
Yeah.
think what happened was horrible. We think that it has no place in America. There is no place for any kind of political violence, and it is ramping up, and we're seeing more and more and more of it. And we do not like what happened to Charlie Kirk. We do not believe that Charlie Kirk deserved this or that anybody else did. What we're talking about is the reaction, and the reaction across the board, including the corporate media and including corporations, as to how they are glorifying this guy who says that when he sees a black pilot on a plane, flying a plane that he's about to board, first thing goes through his mind is he hopes he's qualified. So that's what it is we're talking about. But I think, I got the same feeling that you got about these white guys fight back in Huntington Beach when I saw that the Yankees at the Yankee game gave him a moment of silence. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean,
Plus, our tax dollars, JD Vance went and got his coffin and flew him back to I don't know where. But our tax dollars paid for that.
Washington, I think.
Our tax dollars pay, and they're talking about giving him
the Medal of Honor.
The Medal of Honor, but like some sort of like states. What do they call it when a politician dies and they have them in the Capitol building rotunda, like those kind of honors?
Oh, a state funeral. It's a state funeral kind of thing where the body lies in a state so that people can walk by and view and pray
but
and cry.
For someone who advocated for hate and oppression of women and people of color and trans people and LGBTQAI people, he scapegoated them willingly and took money to do it, to enrich himself. He advocated for the rights of people who aren't like him to be taken away, including his wife and his daughter.
Yeah.
They want to make it seem like he was the MLK of white men.
Yeah. I read that he this morning that he either drove or arranged for 2 busloads of people to come and participate in January 6th. And so again, this is the guy that we want to give the Medal of Freedom to trying to overthrow American democracy. I mean, come on! It's the world is upside down. It's like we're looking at the world in a mirror. Everything is backwards. And I'll tell you something else I've noticed over the last 48 hours, especially on social media, just like I did when Trump got elected to begin with. Like, a lot more true colors are coming out. I posted on my Facebook when this first happened. And when I found out that he died on Wednesday after we recorded, I posted that, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know the exact post, but paraphrasing, it was just a couple of lines, that there is no place for political violence. What happened to Charlie Kirk makes me sick. And that, we fight words with words and not with firearms. And I got a bunch of comments that were like supportive of that. Then Newsweek put out a piece where they laid out some of the most incendiary things that he had said, things that did in fact advocate violence, that did in fact advocate the subjugation of people of color and of women and people who were not white Christian nationalists. And I posted that, and I under the heading that what I wrote earlier, what I posted earlier stands. There is no place for political violence. First man to raise a fist is the man who's run out of ideas. I posted that and I said, but while they're canonizing him, keep this in mind. And I posted it. So I have a friend of mine from high school who we weren't super close friends, but we were friends. And never in all the years I've known her, have I had a harsh word. And she posts under the the Newsweek article with a long laundry list of all of the horrible shit that he said, that I'm a hypocrite for posting that I was opposed to political violence, and then I post this, and I'm ostensibly telling people that he deserved to get killed, and then she blocked me. You know,
I would have been like, anyway, what's for dinner?
you
Like,
know, and she blocked me because I posted what the man said. You know.
Right.
And this, well, can't we let this go just long enough to? No, I mean, you know, what did he say when Melissa Hartman got killed? You know, so I'm just saying again, you know, this should not have happened. It should not happen again.
He basically
However,
said that, you know, the right to have a gun was worth the amount of people that were dying.
yeah.
and he
being
said
killed.
that he said that in response to the Covenant shooting here in Nashville, into children being gunned down.
Now, that's the other thing that people don't understand. I don't know if we've all seen the actual footage of him being shot, and
I've seen it.
Yeah,
And I've once, and I won't see it again.
It was so disturbing.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, now take that and picture that happening to a child, because it's happened all over the place, where a child's head, where the child's head's gone because that.
Well, it was happening to a child while it was happening to him.
It was.
Right.
And no coverage.
Right.
By the way, and something else, by the way, that we got no coverage that's happened over the last 48 hours is that the United States Senate has voted not to release the Epstein files.
Right.
But no, I haven't heard. I haven't seen an article of you.
Yeah, no. Another thing that I have a problem with is that there's two things. So one, people are demanding that everyone express empathy for what happened for him and his family. And for me, I'm not expressing empathy. Like, I'm sorry that his children saw that. I'm sorry that his wife had to witness it. I'm sorry that he was killed. That is horrific. I'm going to go about my day. And I think that we live in a society where white people's feelings are always the most important feelings in the room. And they expect people of color to react the same way as they do to violence against white people. And they don't give us the same consideration. So I'm not saying overall, I think anyone being killed is deplorable. And I don't think violence is ever the answer, but I'm not going to distort my feelings for someone who hated me. That's like saying to me that I should go lay flowers on the grave of David Duke when it's his time and cry for him and throw my body on his casket. I am not going to do that. And I think the people online have been attacking influencers of color because we're not going out of our way and saying all these great things about someone who hated us. And the mainstream media is also part of the problem because they, as you said, they're canonizing him and making it seem like this was some great fighter for the average guy when
the right to free expression.
Yeah. And he was not. He was not, because he didn't want to hear what I had to say.
He was a Klansman without the hood.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he was, and as far as what you say about empathy, keep in mind that he believed that empathy was ridiculous. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not using exact words. You can look him up. It's public record what it is that he said. And he believed that empathy was a weakness and was a woke woke concept. But I'm going to part with you on this, Yayne, because I do have empathy for him. And I do have empathy for his wife, and I do have empathy for his children, and I have empathy for his parents. I feel terribly for all of them and everybody who's involved. Just because those were his beliefs and his thoughts and his values doesn't mean that they have to be mine. Just because he espoused views that were cold and hurtful and unfeeling about people who did not look and like he did or practice, I'm going to say faith in quotes, because there's nothing Christian about the stuff that he said or that he did. Just because he believed that way and espoused these views and held these views about empathy and about caring other people doesn't mean that's me, and I'm not going to fall into that trap. So yeah, I do have empathy for him, and I'll go worse than that. Well, I'll go more than that. I'm a practicing Catholic. I lit a candle. I actually went to church. I haven't been to church in a while. I am practicing, but I haven't gotten it right. I'm still practicing.
Yeah, you haven't got it right yet.
So I actually went to church and lit a candle for Charlie Kirk and for Charlie Kirk's wife and Charlie Kirk's kids. So I do have empathy. And I'm not saying it makes me a better person than him. I'm just,
his children. Yeah. I mean, for his wife and his children, yeah. Even though his wife was helping work against her own interests and the interests of her daughters. Charlie Kirk.
But was she? But was she? Because you got to remember, they made millions of dollars, and these rules. If her daughter at 16 gets pregnant, and by the way, he believed
the rules never apply to them.
He believed that 10-year-olds who were raped should be forced to carry their rapist babies.
He also believed that people who were LGBTQAI should be killed. He advocated for the death of them, and motivated young white men to believe in that. And so I can have sympathy for his family experiencing this loss, but not have, I'm not.
Here's why I really don't have any empathy for him. And I don't, because this guy's gig was spreading hate.
Facts.
That was his job. That was wake up in the morning. I gotta go to work, honey, and spread horrible things about people and make millions of dollars doing it. I mean, that was his gig. He couldn't walk it back. It's the same reason why so many people, even the so-called reasonable conservatives like Ben Shapiro, these guys went MAGA because they didn't want to lose their audience, because they got to pay their mortgage. So what they did was they compromised their personal beliefs because of a paycheck. That's why I don't have any empathy for him. He basically fought for his right to be assassinated. He believed that you had the right to do it. He just didn't understand the consequences of his own actions. And my only regret is he didn't live long enough to have a conscious thought of, oh God, I fucked up. I caused this, to have that moment, because he probably died within 30 seconds. That's the way from that video, he was done. There was he could have had a surgical team right there in the moment and it wouldn't have helped him.
The video that I saw was, I said I won't see it again. It was somebody put together a montage of like 5 clips of him getting shot from 5 different angles. Because there were people with phones all over the place, and that's the only one that I saw. And I won't see another one. Something else that we are not mentioning is that he spread consciously and full-throatedly spread COVID misinformation.
Yes.
And he called mask wearing medical apartheid. So how many people died because they listened to that and didn't go and get the vaccine?
Yeah.
And they went into dangerous situations without masks.
In a place of privilege, playing the victim in order to make more money, right? There he is once again. And the other thing that bothers me is right now there's all these conspiracy theories going around social media saying that Israel and BlackRock did this, that there's no way that kid could have done it because he probably didn't have the shooting expertise to do something.
Which is ridiculous. If you see the photos that his mother posted on Facebook, for God's sakes, the kid was surrounded by weapons, like weapons of like war, not just a gun or a hunting rifle. Like fuck. It's ludicrous what it's like this family helped created this monster.
Listen did you see the interview with the grandmother? And I want to say it was the Times of London or the Daily Mail, and she said, "Oh no, we are a MAGA family. I'm a registered Republican MAGA and a Trump guy, and so is my son. As far as Tyler is concerned, he is not registered with any political party." but he did come out of that culture. You know, they're again typical white people gun nuts. And when I say typical, I'm not saying all white people, but I'm saying the people that happen to follow this particular line of thought, this particular philosophy.
Well,
that's what I'm saying when I mean typical.
Yeah.
I sent
And
you
then-
guys the thing on Grok that somebody asked about the symbols that he had on his weapons, and they were all related to groyers.
Explain what groypers is for people who may not be
Groypers
familiar.
sounds like a condition that you need like fungal cream for, doesn't it? Like, when I hear
It sounds like
groypers, like, ew, is that in your
Yeah.
crops?
It sounds
what
like
is
something
that?
you would say to describe Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
He's a
it's like,
groyper.
yeah, girl, I hooked up with this guy. He gave me groypers. Ugh, what? Like, that's what I think of. Like,
Okay, so
yeah.
explain explain the movement to those who don't understand. It's
All right,
basically
I had to ask Chad Zapata what it was because Chad, I'm making Chat GPT fancy. It's
Like,
Chat
yeah.
Zapata, right?
Do you do it at Target?
Yeah, well, because I'm boycotting Target, and that's been a challenge for me. But I've been really good. I haven't been to Target since December.
Yeah, I
That was
haven't
my
been
happy
there
place.
in about 3 years because I hate the place anyways. I just hate
Oh, listen,
despise it.
I love that place. If they'd opened a bar in there, I never would have left. Like, come on. But so he was the suspect was 22, and I love how like they say he was arrested after a 33-hour manhunt. He turned himself in, right?
Well, his minister and I
His
guess
dad.
his minister and his dad,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
turned him in. Or got him to turn himself in.
So the Groypers, it's a far right meme-driven group. Yes, we live in times where memes drive radicalized groups, led by Nick Fuentes. And let's see, speculation and commentary from political analysts about bullet inscriptions referring to meme culture. So they didn't think that he was conservative enough. They
Yeah,
are
right.
extreme white nationalists. And they didn't think that he was conservative enough. Let me get more information on the Groypers for you because it didn't.
They considered him to be a traitor for what it is that
Right.
I read. I mean, so think about
Yeah,
that.
they're
for a minute.
pro-Trump conservatives who see mainstream Republicans like Charlie Kirk, which they consider him a mainstream Republican, as sellouts or fake conservatives.
They were to the right of him.
Yeah. They consider him inflicted by globalism and liberalism and even fascism light.
I was explaining this to a friend of mine this morning, and it's that the parallel I draw to them is Mel Gibson, and that is, you know, Mel. For those who don't know, you know, Mel Gibson was raised in a very strict Catholic family, and when Vatican II came along and changed how the Catholic Church was and made it more parishioner friendly, there was kind of a break with his family. So in the church. So when Mel Gibson got rich, he built in Malibu his own Catholic church because the Catholic Church was too liberal. It's not recognized by the Catholic Church, but the church exists. He hired a priest who was a defrocked priest and basically acts like Vatican II never happened. That the mass is held in Latin with the priest back to you, all of that because the church is too liberal. So that's kind of how this is. These extremists thought that Charlie Kirk was too liberal, he was too left for them.
Yeah, which is scary as hell.
Yeah, apparently they were known for disrupting Turning Point events, like going in and disrupting them. And they use meme culture and ironic humor to mask their extremist messaging. And their core beliefs were they were Christian nationalists, they were anti-immigrant, they were anti-LGBTQAI+, and their philosophy was America first, but with white identity politics at the center of it. So they promoted the Great Replacement theory.
Mm-hmm. So did he.
Yeah.
They used the internet and Nick Fuentes to recruit members. So
I think Nick Fuentes came out just recently and said, "I abhor violence and don't anybody who does violence in our name is not in our group anymore." You know, did one of those things that we always see when our group is exposed. But
Mhm.
it's another guy. Had dinner with Trump.
At Mar-a-Lago, that's right.
Yeah.
Is that the one that had dinner with Trump and
With
Diddy
Kanye.
and Kanye? Excuse me. I said
Yeah.
Diddy. That's a whole other shit
That's
show.
another thing.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
waiting
a
for
whole
that one
different
to
shit
come out.
show.
But
So,
But it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all connected. I mean, this is where we're living right now. It's these people are want us dead, but they're the irony is they went after Charlie first, which is
yeah.
again.
Well, maybe it was a warning, or Well, here's the thing that I can't wrap my head around, and that is, after about a 24 to 36 hour onslaught of the Democrats did this is at the left wingers. This is at the feet of the Democrats.
Oh, and
we
the
have
House
to fight
too.
back.
Was it representative from Florida? What's her name? Luna. Anna
she was the
Anna
first.
Polina
She was the
Luna.
first
But we've had
declare
it.
war on the Democrats. She was the first to say that it was the Democrats' fault and they needed to be taken care of. And
And we need to get rid of them. We have to wipe them out, and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so now that we know the truth, and again, none of them are going to admit the truth. That basically it was somebody whose core beliefs were a hell of a lot closer to theirs than to anybody else's. Okay, how do you unring that bell?
well, Nancy Mace had the nerve to say after it came out that he was alt-right that he needed prayer.
Yeah.
So she went from we need to
Wipe them out.
kill him to he needs prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the irony again is that these people are either Christian or they believe in Jesus or they believe in God. They have prayer. But they pray for violence. They pray for us to be killed. They pray for us to a meteor to hit San Francisco. That they when an earthquake happens in San Francisco or any place disaster happens in any liberal city, they're praying for more deaths. They're not praying for us to be. They're praying for us to be unalived.
And we're praying for everyone to just live their best possible life and have opportunity to be their true selves and have health care.
Yeah, and this is the ridiculous. Yeah, this is the ridiculous of all this. You got the side that they're condemning, and of course, because it's going to cost billionaires money. So billionaires fund this hate. These people are just being like they're lemmings. They're being, and this has been going on forever. I mean, the even like the Civil War was about a group of white men who could never even afford. I mean, only 2% of the people in the South could afford to buy a slave. Yet, like thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people fought for the right for them to think they're better than a group of people.
Oh, and by the way, take a look at social media over the course of the last 48 hours and see how many times the phrase "Civil War" has popped up.
They want it, man.
They want a civil war.
I mean, I live in a place where there's a bunch of like 300-pound men who get winded when they move their arms, and they're all wearing 1776 shirts. Like that's their fever dream as they play their video games on Twitch. But if there was really a civil war, they'd all be crying in their basements, screaming for their mommies because they don't have the ability. They don't have the skills. They don't have the ability. And the thing is, they want that because they are so unhappy with themselves and they're so miserable. And instead of taking accountability for their choices and what's gotten them there and doing what they need to do to change their lives for the better, it's easier to blame somebody else and make that person the enemy. And so all these billionaires and Trump have grabbed onto that. And it's what we need to address is mental illness. Because when I see Nick Fuentes, I am not a therapist, so this is just my opinion, and I could be totally wrong. I see a great deal of mental instability, and I see a great deal of people who are mentally unstable, who are latching on to that because that explains their personal problems to them.
There was a movement over a couple of years ago, and I haven't heard much, about it lately, in the mental health community to recognize racism as a mental illness. that to actually,
It is.
officially recognize it. I don't know if it's the American Psychiatry Association or what it is that makes these designations. And if you think about it, it is.
Absolutely.
But with that, we are just about out of time. So I do want to end with this. Okay, while we have masked Gestapo running around this country, snatching people off the street without due process. Now the Supreme Court said they can do it based solely upon what they do for a living, how their English is, or the color of their skin. That's what Brett Kavanaugh wrote in his dissent. Common sense. And one of the reasons that they are rationalizing this is for the safety of Americans, and we have to be careful because of terrorism and all this other stuff. I'm going to leave with this and keep this in mind, especially as you look at what happened to Charlie Kirk, as what you look at what will happen going forward, as you look at what's happened in the past. Every major law enforcement agency in this country, including the FBI, has stated that the majority of domestic terrorism is white extremist groups, and that's the greatest threat to American national security. Those are the people who are the ones who are blowing up Oklahoma City, federal buildings. Those are the ones who are breaking into the homes of 80-year-old men and bashing them in with their heads in with a hammer. Those are the ones who are knocking on the front doors of state legislators and killing them and their spouses and their dog. Those are the people who are killing Charlie Kirk. It's those people. However, if those are not the people who the masked cowards, and I'll call you masked coward, because if you are so sure that what you're doing is right, then like every other law enforcement officer in this country, take the goddamn mask off, put a badge on, put a name tag on with your name on it, and own what it is that you're doing. If what you're doing is legal and what you're doing is right, and you have no problem with it because you're doing it for America, why the hell are you wearing a mask? I mean, most municipalities in this country have a law that you cannot wear masks in public in bad faith, and meaning that they'll let you if you go to a masquerade party or whatever. I mean, there was a thing up after the movie Kick-Ass came out about 10 years ago, which is about what would happen if like real kids put on suits and decided to try to be superheroes. Yeah. It really happened. And it was a movement called, I think, the Rainbow Movement or something up in Seattle, where you had some young people who were dressing up like heroes to go out and do stuff, and they got arrested because you can't wear masks in public. Well, so why is it okay to do that now? But leaving with that, just keep that in mind.
Can I just say one thing too?
Go ahead.
I really am. I have my representative in Congress, Jared Hoffman. Nice guy, votes exactly the way I would vote in Congress on just about everything, probably everything. I am sick and tired of people that aren't vocal. My representative is not vocal. He's a guy who he does his job. He represents us as far as law is concerned, but it's time to get vocal. It's time to go out there every day and scream that this is wrong, and we're going to change this. This is not the America that the founding fathers want. This is anti-American. And what we're going to do is we're going to take what we thought were norms and we're going to make them laws, because it's time to stop this nonsense. It's time to stop the violence. It's time to help people. And the Democrats need to come in there and do what FDR did and expose the billionaire class for their literally being traitors to the country. And it's time to stop the niceties. There are no niceties on the right. They want to kill us. We don't want to kill them. What we want to do is we want to take back our country. And
we want to truly make America, the things we're talking about would truly make America great again.
Yeah.
Feed people, give people medical care, make sure people have housing. That's how you make America great again.
Yeah, people get people off the streets by helping them get off the streets, not by spitting on them or, hey, you don't like shit on your sidewalk? then put him in a house, put him in an apartment that you don't even have to be big. It can be as big as the room I'm in, as long as it has as long as you're sleeping. Imagine sleeping on the streets and how hard that would be every day, and how miserable your life would be.
Illness.
And that's a whole
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is
right.
everything that pollutes America. We need to stop the nonsense. We need to make these people who are this billionaire class pay their fair share. Corporations pay their fair share, and we're not trying to take them what we're trying to do is take their ability to destroy our nation away from them. Because that's what they're doing. They have so much money and they're so psychotic. And I'm sorry, billionaires are psychotic. There's no reason for any human being to desire that much money and power. There's something wrong with them. And they're fucking up my country. And I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. And I don't want any violence on them. What I want to do is legislate them in a way that puts them in a little box that makes them not as powerful, that they shouldn't have that power. The Supreme Court shouldn't have that power. They shouldn't have that power for life. You can't, they're so corrupt. Everybody's so corrupt. Trump is ridiculously corrupt.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you, Tom, because this is
I know it's going off on but it's all part of where we are.
This is a much broader conversation that needs to be had. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be had.
Yeah,
it's a much broader conversation.
But it all leads to what
it is all tied together. You're absolutely right. And with what's happened in the last 48 hours, we've been looking at the right hand without seeing what the left hand's been doing. No question about it. But with that, we were unable to unpack some of this. If you have questions or comments, feel free to email me at Brian Copeland Show at gmail.com. Please like and subscribe to this podcast, and we'll be back with our regular show on Thursday, unless there are other developments. I mean, who knows?
And it's a great lineup too. Great lineup. Wendy Liebman, Scott Silverman, and Brian Mallow.
Oh, that's a wonderful one. Yeah. So if something else happens or something else breaks, you may hear from us again before Thursday. But this is our first Copeland's Corner Extra, and I will thank you for watching over YouTube, and thank you for listening.